working together for a good little while, and she does a lot of things on the men. And I'll let her talk to you guys about what that looks like. But I'm really excited about this conversation today. So I'm going to pass it on to you. You ready?
Yeah, I'm on the right time now.
You on the right time?
I'm on the right time now.
All right. So Ms. Pam, I'll let you take it.
Thank you. I am Pamela James Coleman, mental health advocate for the last 2 years. Become a passion and actually has now taken over my spare time, all time, every time. Where I don't sleep, I don't do anything but men's mental health. That's all I do. Men's mental health. Everything personal has got pushed to the side. Today, thanks to my friend, she has got us a nice panel, a wide variety, and we're gonna jump in. If I ask a question that is not something that you want to answer, just kind of put your hand up and I'll make sure I don't head in that direction. That's my disclaimer on my podcast that I always ask before we start, is there something I need to stay away from? Because I have had a couple people that tell me to stay away from certain things and then we just take off. So since I didn't get to ask that question beforehand, if I ask a question, just let me know. We're gonna start right to left or right, and then we'll just come back, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll jump into some questions.
Oh, I'm the left, the right.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Lawrence Lewis. They call me the Law. I'm not short for Lawrence, but people always thought it was meant that I was with the police or something. But either way, I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I was born in Panama City, Panama. I came over here when I was about 5 years old, and I've been in the United States since then. I grew up in the Tidewater area, if y'all know anything about that. So I was down there, the 757. So I grew up down there, and then I went to Virginia Tech, if anybody knows that. Went to college at Virginia Tech. Left college. Well, somebody liked it too. So I left college, moved to Richmond, just wanted to be my own man, became my own thing, became a fitness instructor. No, before I did all that, I still played arena football and everything else like that. So I always became one of those athletes. I was always an athlete till I played until I was 39, and that's when life turned on me. That's when I really found out that I wasn't as healthy as I thought I was, just because I played football. Just a lot of these guys out here playing football, if they ain't really about it, they really unhealthy because they live a kind of lifestyle. And I told people I was living foul. I was out all night, drinking, smoking, doing all the things. But as an athlete, you get that sense of Superman and, I can do whatever and keep on going. And then I tore my Achilles. That's when I really found out that, because when anybody knows who had the operation, you had to go through a chance where you had to check everything. So they ended up checking in, found out I had a heart murmur, diverticulitis, a lot of things. I'm like, whoa. And the nurse came and said, you want to continue, you want to live or you want to die? I was like, whoa. I was kind of hurt when she said that, but I was so happy that she said that at that time because it made me snap out of it and realize that either I had to get myself together. And then the next thing she said is, do you want to watch your daughter walk across, became, when she married. Did you want to be walking her when she get married? And I was like, yeah, I thought about that. Let me get myself together. So since then, I started getting myself together, but I did it by myself. I didn't tell nobody about it. I kept quiet about it until I started losing friends. And then you lose a couple of friends. You're like, man, especially when it had to deal with some kind of health, you go to a point where, man, maybe I need to start at least saying something, helping somebody else out before it got real bad. So when you lost a couple of friends, that's when I became a fitness instructor. And it's like I went to my second life because I realized that, hey, I need to give back. I need to get myself together. I need to, talk about more about what's going on. Because anybody tells you, or most of y'all probably experience it, you keep all your demons inside. You don't tell nobody nothing. You let that thing build up. And especially as a black man, we're supposed to be taught that that's what our avenues. But maybe I'm going way too far. I was supposed to just introduce myself and call it and everything else like that. But I wanted to make sure that it's been a while since I told my story. Because you always, then you get to a point where you tell something, you always assume that everybody knows. But then people always say, well, that was the good part, that's what helped me. And that's why I'm doing here, I'm sitting here, is that one day anything can might help another person. You know what I'm saying? And that got me to here. So thank y'all so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Malik Malachi. I'm from New York originally, and born and raised, even though I've lived in a whole lot of different cities and a whole lot of different states. It's one of my pet peeves. I like to travel. And then I just wasn't, even as a child, because of my upbringing, I wasn't ever stationary. So I was always undecided and always wanted to move on. And, things didn't go my way, it's time to go. I didn't play with that. And I think this is probably the longest I've been someplace and not be forced since I can remember, actually. Then as I grew older, only thing I did consistently is went to school. But that came later on too. I used to, y'all gotta excuse my glasses. I'm legally blind, been like that since 2000. And before that, I used to make eyeglasses for a living. And I did that for over 25 years in different states and different cities. But so, it was kind of, I thought because I was in that field that I would get the best care. So, when I said I had glaucoma, I figured it ain't gonna happen to me, cause, but it happened. And once they cut me, it did happen even faster. So, but I think one of the main things in our community that plagues us in terms of mentally is we've been taught that we're supposed to handle some things. Like the book tells us, nobody gets more than they can bear, which is very true. But that don't mean we got to deal with it alone. That don't mean we don't need some help. And a lot of us try to take things on ourselves, and that leads on to other things like alcoholism, drug use, and that's just putting fuel on top of the fire. So with that, I'll pass it on to the next one. Thank you.
How y'all doing? I'm Lorenzo Allen. Dr. Miller is my mother. I'm from Chicago. Was raised back and forth to the 757 area.
Okay.
So definitely know about that. Today will make a week that I actually just got out from being incarcerated. Did like 2 years. A week, 8 hours, about 30 minutes.
Okay.
So other than that, super blessed to be here. Any questions y'all have, I'll be free to answer.
I'm John, Mr. Jonathan Brown, nickname Jay, whatever you want to call me. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I've been out here about 10, 11 years. Came out here on a journey for school. Where I'm from, Buffalo, New York, a lot of stuff that went on in my life, and I used to see a lot of things on the corner, and I don't know why I was smart enough just to say I'm gonna just do the opposite. And so at an early age, I remember I was 12 and walking past a community center, and I told myself, I want to help people. And my family, they've been through a lot of journeys themselves as individuals. And that's when I kind of decided my journey, not saying I'm perfect, or I've never been through anything, but I've just seen things early to help me get where I'm at today, to be a therapist in the community, for myself, for other Black men, for women as well, for Black community just in general. And once I got down here, I just went on my, like I said, I went on my educational journey, went through a lot of things. So today I'm here, and also I just want to say something. The story that I
Just call me Law, L-A-W.
Law, the
Mm-hmm.
person that came to do was the journal.
No, that's Lorenzo.
This is Lorenzo. Okay, this is Lorenzo.
Malik.
Malik. Oh, yeah.
Malik.
Journey, Malik. And Lorenzo, I've been here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. I've been there. You just got out. I've been there.
Yeah.
And so for all of us to sit here, it's just very powerful to black men to sit at a table and to speak. And we are in alignment. And we can make things move if we choose to. All right, and I'm gonna leave it there because I know we only got so much.
No, we got time. We got time.
Yeah,
I know-
yeah.
I know she gonna make time.
Oh,
So we're gonna jump right in with you.
okay.
Because the topic that we have in conversation, we have a lot, is when I go look for a therapist as a black man,
Mhm,
I look for someone who looks like me.
mhm.
So as a therapist, what do you see? Do you see the comfort level of a black male coming in to seek your help? Or do you have a variety of patients without going?
In black men specifically, or just, or just
Yeah.
in general?
Yeah, just in general, but
In general,
most,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, in general, it's mostly women I work with. I am seeing a lot of younger, young adult women, like 21, 22, that's mostly dealing with just anxiety and expectations of the world. Like they feel like right now, they're just supposed to be on top of the world right now. With middle-aged or older women that I work with, that's the most I do work with, 75% with women. This is more about the traumas. We speak about childhood traumas, relationship traumas that we speak about a lot. Then with men, specifically, I'd say 25%, it's more of the, I think I wrote it down, being a provider, the expectation, and also learn how to be vulnerable as well. So those are the main three things. First is the provider aspect. What does that look like, and what does that encompass for our black men? And so, if you want to ask more questions, I'll get more detail.
I was gonna say, hold that thought for a second. So the other part, when we do podcasts and we talk about looking for therapists, they said it's like dating. So it's like they are trying to find the just right therapist. So you see like, not a turnover, but do you see some leaving like within 30 days because they're looking for that fit, or do you just see them staying? Because they're saying that it's a dating thing, it feels like dating, because they've gone to a therapist, that therapist doesn't fit. And then they go seek another therapist, and one person said it took them 4 therapists, so they felt like they were speed therapist dating. So it's just like, do you see that type of come and go?
Yeah, so I don't see it a lot for myself specifically. But it goes into the rapport and the relationship first. My goal is to make sure that we're like compatible, like you said, relationship,
Okay.
And so as a therapist, I want to be as transparent as I can and let you know that I am human as well, and that helps the client come into a therapeutic relationship and feel comfortable. I don't sit back and just be like, hey, how you doing today? Oh, no, all right, next question, no. We are having a conversation like we're having a conversation now. And this is how you build a relationship, you build a rapport. And anything you do in life, just in general, you have to build a rapport first. So I have to, as a therapist, I have to sit back and be able to listen and make sure that they're comfortable, and that weeds out someone leaving therapy just very fast. If that makes sense.
I'm gonna let you rest. I'm
I'm
gonna let you rest. So, the other question that we have, well, we always have this question, is that being a African-American man / black male now, there's this stigma that you are not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to show weakness, you're supposed to carry everything, and you're supposed to take care of the family. That was what they call the learned behavior growing up, because I've never seen my father cry. As you guys are getting more into, I say, accepting your role as a black male, are you comfortable now? Or have you gotten comfortable, or are you still in transit to talk to people about your mental?
Me personally, I actually went to get hope for me personally. I went to my mom at 16. I started at a psychologist since I was 16. Mind you, like how you said, it is something like dating because I go to the same psychologist since then. So I just knew personally, it was personal things that was going on in life that I had to attack early. Even though people probably thought it was corny or whack, care less, this is about me. So I think that's the first step, is sitting back and not being selfless, but being selfish sometimes with yourself. So I took those steps first.
So you started breaking that stigma, you started to break that cycle at an early age. So you're setting the path for people that you know, that you can go up and say, hey, this isn't, you know, you can talk to me, or let me find somebody that you can talk to. Because we're seeing a lot of our young brothers leaving us because they didn't have anybody to talk to.
Right.
So you're breaking out, you're opening up a path to talk, have people talk to you.
Well, the word love, I found out as I've been going through this whole thing, has became a more powerful word, or a word that you can, because most guys don't get another guy tell them I love you. In some kind of way, it sounds weird, because I do it now. I've learned that, you could tell a guy I love you, my man. But people always now, it seemed that it was weird, like, don't do that. It's like it made a stigma of it. And I've always learned that once you stop living in stigmas and everything else, you get yourself to uphold nothing, and then you just become another little sheep. And everybody knows me, I would never be a sheep. I always try to be my own person, my own different person, everything else like that. But as a man, you get so stuck into what you've been taught, or what you've been told, what you've been seeing, what you feel, because a lot of people fail to realize our feelings. And I heard something else too, is that women can know all the ranges of feeling. Men it seems like it's only extreme. Either they top here or they bottom here. So either you're showing all your feelings, or you ain't showing nothing. It ain't like women, it's like, maybe today because that's just, we built different. But that's a whole nother discussion and everything else like that. But as she was saying, as into trying to put in a feeling of it, or trying to change something, I've always said try to start using that word love, or as a man, in a different way, or to a point where it's not as powerful and it's not weakening. It's more weakening to some people if they don't use it in the proper way. So I think trying to find a way how you talk to people, that can help you get out of some of those kind of ways. But it's a hard thing. It's like trying to keep that 5 pounds off. I don't care how hard, how much you try, that 5 pounds seems like it keep coming back. I know everybody is, but it's like mental health is just something that I've learned with my fitness, is that you just got to keep on coming at it. If you try to stop, if you try to do anything else, I always just say, it's like anything else. Try to find a fun way of doing it and keep on trying to do it. Even if your mental health, comedy helps me tremendously to get through a lot of my mental health and stuff like that. But learning how to use the words that we've been using, so that helps also too.
I guess I'm last, huh?
You say the best for it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my path is a little different. Uh, as, as far back as I can remember, I've always had trust issues. So, but I've always had a therapist or a psychiatrist. That's just because everybody always wanted to analyze me. So with my trust issues, I'm only gonna tell you but so much. You know, my thing was always, I don't do no telling on me. So, so if you gonna get me, you gonna get me in some other way. So, you know, I would give him just enough, but the thing I had to do, I also had a bad temper. And I realized every time I lose my temper, somebody else got control over me, you know. So I got tired of somebody else being in control. So I had to slow down, and I'm grateful I was good, I grew up with a bunch of men. So they was into that, you know, we not crying, we don't do no crying here, you know, we're gonna lick our wounds and keep it moving. So I took on that role, but nevertheless, as I got older, I started to learn how to control my temper. And giving people control over me kept me by myself a lot. So I learned who I was. I wasn't afraid to be by myself. So once I was able to be by myself, like I never had the problem like I gotta be in a relationship. I don't need that. I'm not gonna deal with some drama because I don't wanna be alone. You know, because I know who I am. So, and I felt more comfortable, and I trusted myself. So, you know, that was never an issue. But like I said, that trust thing was the issue. And that came a long time. It took a long time. I'm 60, I'll be 64 in a couple of months. And I could say in probably the last 8-9 years, I've really started to trust another human being. You know, that wasn't, and now I can't even say family, because I don't trust them either. But they was, you know, that, so, and that was a process. It was a process, and you know, and I did a lot of studying over time, and then thinking. You know, once I stopped reacting off of my emotions, it allowed me to think. So now, you know, I'm not saying I'm not going to do nothing wrong, but you can rest assured you're not going to catch me right away. You know, and for you to catch me, you're going to have to be doing a little thinking too. So, so I mean, you know, that was my biggest thing, that trust thing. Like I said, I'll be 64. I left home when I was 13. So, and I was in the street. So it wasn't room for a lot of trust. You know what I mean? And at the time, my temper served me good because it kept me alive. You know, it's just when I got to other spectrums of it, like being alone, I had to realize that, you know, I can't run here. You know, I gotta wait for them to transfer me. I can't run. So I gotta learn how to get along with all these people, because I can't fight all of them. So I gotta learn how to get along with all these people in order to stay alive. And that's what made me think. And one of my heroes, you could say, was Malcolm X. And he said one time in one of his books, he said, if a man knows how to defend himself, I send him to prison before I send him to college. He said, because when you go to college, you learn the information. But when you go to prison, you can't run. So you got to learn how to deal with all these inmates, all these officers, all these staff. You have to learn how to get along with all these people. And these same personalities that you run into there, you run into out here. So that's where education comes in, learning how to deal with people. Learning what's in the book, that don't keep you alive. You might get your job.
I'm gonna stay with you on this next question, because I'm pulling on my podcast questions right now, so just hang in there with me.
Okay.
We talked about your mates, your others, partners, however people make it. When you come home and you dealing with something, and you walk in and you want to talk to that person, and that person greets you with a dismissal type of, I don't want to deal with you right now, how do process that? How would you process that?
Well,
Because you wanna talk about something that's important to you, and you're dismissed.
well, that's a good question. Me personally, I'm not gonna have that situation.
Well, yes.
Because for one thing, when I do, I'm not a big talker on that, you know, when it comes to something that deep, right?
Mhm.
But when I think it out first. So I might go for a walk. And by the time I come back, 2 hours later from walking, I done thought it out of my head. So now when I walk in the door, if she's sleeping, if she's watching TV or whatever, I'm crashing the party. You know, and then I don't do that. So by me doing that, that's out of my character. So she knows it's just something serious. You got something on his mind. So automatically, all the attention's on me. You know, I don't get in the way. I'm like pretty much self-sufficient. But when I need some help, everything got to stop for the moment. You know, cause I don't appreciate being that stagnated. So we got to get to the bottom of this. And my mate that's the only person I'm gonna go to. You know, in terms of trust, and I've had quite a few, and it didn't work out that way. You know, it was a process.
Mhm.
It was a process getting there, and you know, I was in situations where it was my mate, but I had problems closing my eyes. You know, because I didn't trust. I got problems eating food because I had trust issues. You know, so one day I might go to get some cigarettes and you don't see me no more because my trust issues. You know, so I mean, it was a process. So
Y'all keep that in the back of your mind. Cigarettes.
Damn.
but now, and then, I wanted to mention this too. The single most important thing that helped me and all my issues was writing. Once I got all that pain out, all that garbage out, all that old way of thinking, you know, things from my childhood, my father, my grandpa, those old generational curses, those things that tainted me, to slow me down. Once I got all that out and started to realize that, you know, there's a different way. You know, I was telling Brother Brown down there, I said, the purpose of my book was not so somebody can take my path, is that whatever path they take, it breaks the cycle. You know, because that's the thing that stagnates us. You know, that's why we don't have no feeling. That's why we got kids running around acting crazy and, you know, have no respect, because that what's the name? That cycle.
That's like, and that's, when you were talking about, you answered the last question, that's why I stayed with you, because this went right into, but I'm gonna take that cigarette thing, I'm gonna hold on to that, I made that a t-shirt, go get cigarettes. Go get cigarettes. Anybody can share if they want to. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, the main thing, it just seemed like it kind of hard to even, because you wouldn't say, I mean, you wouldn't say they were doing wrong, because most people were just doing, a woman is supposed to, I guess, either push you, or she's not supposed to accept, she don't expect you to bring a burden to her, you know, as in, like, you know, what's going on tomorrow, my feelings not feeling good today, and stuff like that. You're supposed to be bringing home the bacon, as they would say, so you're supposed to, instead of bringing home, so going into a household, I'm just trying to imagine, because I've never tried to put myself in a situation where that a person hates me when I'm coming home. So, but as I look at it, you know, it just says, as a woman or as a person, you know, you just don't share those kind of things, but you should. But it's just so hard that, you know, if a person did have those kind of feelings for you, as soon as you come through the door with some kind of ailment, it it will stop you from really. It's like anything. If you ask somebody two or three times for anything, and they always say no, you ain't gonna keep asking the fourth and fifth time unless you want insanity. But most people don't usually that. So if you look for that help from a person and they don't give it to you, it might take 1 or 2 times, I would say. But in the long run, it usually seems like their actions usually tells you which way you get go. So I don't know. It all depends on the person or the situation. But I couldn't give a general saying that if it worked. If I came with some kind of problem, it all depends on what kind of problem. I mean, everything will play the realm of to what degree it hurts or not.
It's real complex.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like that women need to also be conditioned.
Right.
Or to accept.
Or it might be unconditioned, because I think that's a lot of things.
Reconditioned.
Or reconditioned. Yeah, reupholstery.
That men aren't supposed to, that men aren't supposed to, and see, this is where you see that I'm on the men's side, and this is why I get the that the men aren't supposed to bring home the bacon, hold everything in. I'm trying not to, I get frustrated when I do this sometimes, sorry. They're not supposed to carry the work. So at some point, we as women need to be reconditioned. Don't get mad at me. To understand, not all women, that the men are actually equal and not to carry the entire household. Not to bring home all the money for the bills, not to take the money and go shopping. I gotta get off my soapbox. This is where I get it my thoughts. So we're gonna skip all over that.
Let's go.
And he said something about journaling. As a therapist, do you recommend journaling? Because we go back to that stigma. Men see journaling as I hate to be sexist about this, as a female thing. But you see, which I write on post notes all the time, but you see females journal more than men. Would you recommend men do that if they come home and are met with, I got time for you?
Yes, yeah. Of course, I definitely, when I say I do recommend journaling more for women, but for men as well, that's when we tap into being vulnerable, right? Doing things different and outside the box. And so journaling and writing, or writing books, or movies, whatever, or the whole, et cetera, for men as well, is moving in the space of vulnerability, and where they can, where us men as well can have an avenue to do something different, because we live in a world that is, as men, that is it's a what they call it, we stay within our masculine frame.
Mm-hmm.
And when the pressure comes on in this world and we don't speak and we don't be vulnerable, our masculine ability gets even more like stronger. What I mean by that is it can turn into not good things. So if a man stay quiet, imagine a man staying quiet for a year. You've been building up things. And, he's human at the end of the day, right? And so our masculine ability, it can explode. And that's what we never want to see. Because explosion can turn into verbal abuse, physical abuse. It can move into so many different realms as a man. And that's because, again, the world is saying, just stay within your masculinity. Just stay within your masculinity. Don't go outside.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to just control that. But when the world is hitting you in every direction, it just becomes too much for us to handle as men. And so, going back to the journal, yes, I would recommend journaling for men definitely more often, especially after this conversation, because we need to find a way to release those things.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that can be working out, that can be.
Like I said, healthy habit, just simply even a healthy habit. At the time we sit back and we go into something where we're trying to block out the feelings. So you go into drinking, you go into smoking, you substitute that with a healthy habit. So that was something that, you know, even being in there, it was a gift and a curse, but it got me time to sit back and talk to grown adult men and black men on top of that, where we kind of came down to a few things, and just a healthy habit can stop a lot of things that's just going on. So I think that's one of the big things too that's going on in the world, and it's even self-reflecting, just even talking. Like, then when you sit back and you are talking to individuals, it kind of gives you time to sit back and release those frustrations, even if it is someone that is just your friend or whoever it may be, whoever you're comfortable with. But like, don't just hold it in, though. But healthy habits are something good to establish within yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I pick you right back. Renzo, yeah. Like you said, just healthy habits, and that's the main point. Is for men as vulnerability, just like you said, is us just choosing those healthy habits, and knowing that as men we can't take over. We won't be able to. I always say, you know, the goal is to, and I'm saying this in a good way. Just take over the world, but at the end of the day, we need that, as men, we need that support. And men will move. I don't know if people really understand. Men will move with support. You would see a man go from, I know it was a big conversation about bills. We had 50-50 to 60-40 to 70-30, but men will move if he has the support. And he would take over everything as long as he's pushed and supported. And he will walk in the house and be proud of that every day.
I'm gonna let you grab your question, but I got it. So, what you just said, that's why I'm passionate about it. Because if you don't have the support, if you walk in the house, if you're not really reaching for that support, but you know when you come home that somebody, I mean, they don't have to be there waiting at the door with the dinner and all that stuff. But if you know that you're gonna walk in the door and somebody's gonna listen to what you have to say, or even care enough to ask about how your day goes, it makes a difference. But if you come home and Betty and Sally, she out, doing whatever she needs to do, nails, hair, whatever. Sorry, ladies. Told y'all, passionate about this. And it's more about me. That's gonna make you go out the door.
Pack of cigarettes.
Like Law said, you're not gonna get cigarettes. And I always this is the part where I really get frustrated, because I don't understand how you can't listen. Why is someone so self-centered that they can't take 5 minutes out just to hear what you gotta say? I mean, even if you fake it, just give that 5 minutes.
And what happens is, men a lot, men will hold on. They will literally sit there and hold on for a certain amount of, they would, because a lot of times naturally men want to keep the family together. So we're thinking family, we're thinking provider. That's our complex naturally. And so, but if we're stretched for a certain amount of years, we'll stay together for a long time. But we will push it out. If someone can break that, like your other spouse, whoever it is, if they can break that, that means that man is really just checked out. Like, he no longer cares. He will put everything aside, because now he doesn't understand that he's doing all the things that he's supposed to do, but it's not enough. And he won't be able to recognize what's going on. His brain is not computing it doesn't understand that at the time. So cognitively, the men, his brain doesn't understand, like, this doesn't make sense if that comes up. Eventually it gets to that, like, it doesn't make sense. And
24 and a half years, I understand that. Yeah, he didn't understand that.
This small token of appreciation too as well. Like, I think that's what we kind of look for in a woman. Like you said, we'll run through a wall. We'll go to the ends of the world. We'll go to outer space for our partner or who we are dealing with. That small token of appreciation each and every day can be
$1 million.
I'm telling you, it's trying things.
Simple as hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, hard. It doesn't cost anything to appreciate the men. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. You had something to say?
So,
I'll be here a minute.
as what Lorenzo said, as you guys know, he is my child. I will tell you, the hardest thing that as a mother was to realize I asked God to sit him down. I asked God to sit him down because I knew the path that he was going in, and I couldn't save him. We know as women, we nurture our children, we nurture the men that we with, but as a mother, I knew I was being a disservice to him as a growing man. And I asked God to sit him down. And in that time, I realized that he had the opportunity, as he said, to sit and talk to me. Not that he didn't have a male in his surrounding. My father was the great example, but he had to learn that path and navigate those waters on his own. And me, I was being a burden, because I was being that one that says, you know, my baby this and other. And I realized he's my baby, but he's a man. And I could not teach him to be that man. So I asked God to sit him down. And through conversations over the 18, 19, almost 2 years, I saw the growth. And so when I said to you ladies in this audience, sometimes we have to push back and be quiet. Because that was the hardest pill to swallow, because I birthed this kid, well, this man. And now he's a father. So if I am not giving him the tool sets to be a piece of the nurturing piece, then what role do I have? So I asked God, and it's a work in progress. You know, he has changed in the 2 years, but changed in a way that I am so grateful for, because I see a change. He did something today that made me want to strangle him, but I had to realize I had to step back from my own sanity. And so, again, I thank you for allowing me to be your mother, in a sense, a mother and a friend, and having the different conversations, because conversations change when they get 30 and older. And so, I think we had this conversation on his way back home. We had this long conversation about, I asked God to sit him down, and I'm grateful that he did sit him down, because he could have been set down in a box. So I thank you for understanding that journey.
I'm going to do something different real quick. Anybody have a question? Don't be shy.
I did have one, I'm just trying to remember what it was. A minute.
Well, grab me at any point,
Okay.
at any point. I'm trying to pull myself back together, because when I get on that particular soapbox, I kind of steer left, and I lose my train of thought, because. So, the other question, which is probably a duplicate of what we had before, but being a black male in different jobs and things you have walks of life that you don't have, and knowing your mental, because all of you guys have touched and y'all are in touch with your mental. Thank you. When you see others, do you feel comfortable, like, let's say you're going out to dinner, you know, with your friends, or playing games, whatever you guys may do in a male setting? Because I know one has a male line dancer. If you see somebody that looks like they want to talk, or are you comfortable with walking up to a person and say, hey, you know, you want to talk? Look a little off today.
Good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's,
Yeah.
definitely. I think that's, I say, being around that environment, just sit back and kind of want to be there a little bit. Definitely when you're at your lowest point. So when you're around that, you know the signs. You can see it in somebody's face. So I was always big on that regardless. So I'm the glue of a lot of things. So even sitting back and realizing that too, it gave me time to sit back and reflect on everything. But I'm quick to ask you, good, just call, check in, you all right? because mental health, definitely, like how we say in the black community and the men community, we don't tend to do that. So I actually lost one of my best friends from suicide. So that was one of the biggest things that was going on with me mentally that I wasn't handling. And that gave me time to sit down when I was incarcerated and really go through that grief. So I think if you know someone that is going through something, doesn't matter if it's a male or a woman, ask them if they are, ask them if they're good. That small check-in can be a lifelong saving their life, to be honest with you. So I think that's something that's big.
Mr. Reed, you checking in?
Yes.
Are you checking in, or are you?
I agree wholeheartedly. And I'm one of the people also, and I think that goes back to what I said, you know, when you're in that closed environment like that, you learn how to read personalities, how to read people's faces. You can walk in a room and tell the atmosphere. You know, you go to the shower, you know if you should take one or not, time to leave. You know, you pick up on these things real fast. So when you're released and you're into the open world, where a lot of people might not pick up on certain things, you do. So, you know, I've been, so, you know, when you see certain things, and that happened to me, the exact same thing, not too long ago, sometime last year. And I was just walking down the street, and the guy, he just wasn't there. You know, he was in the, you know, he's in a different place. So I asked him, you all right? You good? You know, what's on your mind? So he was telling me his issues, and I told him I can't help you with your issues, right? I can't solve none of them, right? I can give you some suggestions, right? And I can tell you what you should do, but I can't solve none of your issues. That's the things you have to get, you know, for yourself. But when I left, he was in a better space, right? I gave him some phone numbers and I put him in touch with some people, and I told him, you know, if you're not ready, then, you know, when you are ready, you got the information. You know what I mean? Because he was caught up behind his woman. And I mean, and I understand that, you know, it wouldn't have been me, but I understood it. But, and it's harder, especially when it's your fault, you know. So I understood that part. So I agree with it wholeheartedly. Even like when I was talking about the writing, I forgot to mention this part. I didn't get my book published for a long time because I wasn't in the right space. I wasn't ready to do the right thing. I wasn't ready for what might come after that. I wasn't ready to sit up here and talk about anybody's mental health. You know what I mean? And I had to let some things go and let it go for real. You know, before I was able to process that and to move on. So it took me some years. You know, even after the book, I had to go back and adjust it because some time had went by. So with that, I'm gonna let it go.
I think mine go two ways. It's like sometimes trying to tell a person, even if you see they're going through it, they won't tell you. You know, so sometimes that gets to a point, like I said earlier, to a point of keep repeating these habits to get to a point where you don't go back to those things. So you try to help as much as you can, but a lot of people here it's so tough, so hard, so you can see the pain in them, and they would tell you, no, I'm great in the world, you know. Like I see the pain, but it's like that sharing kind of things is that it just makes it hard but when you do see it. But then again, I always tell people just got to keep on trying. That's the only consistency of anything. I think that's why my physical and working out and stuff like that, just trying to continue trying to get yourself better is a thing. I always tell people just 1%. If you try just 1% of trying to get better each day, by the 3-4 months you're there if you really think about it. But everybody's not working, trying to get that one little percent will help us get to a point where you got 30, 40, 50% of better life than you had before. So.
We had a question there.
Yes,
You're good at that.
Let me get back to, oh, yeah. So you said, some women need to be reconditioned to think that men, aren't supposed to take care of like the entire household, right? Some, right. So you made me think of this book I'm listening to right now called, We Were Feminists Once. And it's about, how basically the whole culture has been conditioned for women to be subservient or less than. I mean, this always goes back to like religion and all the things. But anyway, it's talking about like the marketing and how they market to women and how like 1974, for example, women couldn't even have credit on their own. They had to have their man to do that. And so what do you say to people who say, I've been a feminist all this time, I've never thought that, and I think men need to be reconditioned to understand that we are equal to them and they are equal to us.
Can I answer that?
Yeah,
Yes.
I got
Well, any of y'all can answer it, yes.
Okay, and this is my opinion. I don't believe that men and women are equal. I don't believe that we ever could be equal. That's not to say that she may not pull more than me, I may not pull more than her. We'll balance it out, but we're not equal. You know, that's like to say, like I could never be a woman, I can't bear life. So you have advantage that I can't never get over that hurdle. Right? You know, that's the hurdle. So that equal, now maybe something on maybe a more physical dimension, I might have an edge. Like when I was growing up, the household was my mother's. My mother took care of the house. Whatever took up, you know, what happened in the household, that was her job. Now, if it was too much for her, then my father, he was the backup. You know, ain't nobody want to deal with him, so, you know, the buck stopped there. But by the same token, my father wasn't gonna come home and uproar nothing either. You know, he was the backup for her. If she needs some help, he got you. But the house was her domain. You know, so I don't believe in the equal concept. I believe in when I'm slacking, she gonna pick up the slack. When she's slacking, I got her. You know, so that's what I believe the equal is. But I don't believe that 50-50. I don't think those days come.
Equal in partnership is what you're saying.
Right. You know, wherever we're gonna meet and we're gonna have it done at the end. No matter if I gotta do 80%, you only got 20.
Right.
You know what I mean? And vice versa. But that, because we not wired that way. We're not gonna wake up the same way every morning. You know what I mean? So the other one has to pull the weight.
I'm gonna let y'all jump in, but on to that is the reconditioning of when he comes home and he wants to talk, but she views him as you should be able to process.
To handle it on your own.
Yeah, whatever you
Yeah.
got. So that part of it is the reconditioning, not the like
Gotcha.
household, but the fact that when he comes to the door, all she sees is someone that needs to suck it up.
Right. Yeah.
That part, that recondition, that mindset, that he doesn't have to suck it up. If you can take 5 minutes to listen. But if you can't take 5 minutes to listen, then you need to go get cigarettes.
Right.
So that's the part.
My thing too about it is like, both can be true, but why would that have to become a discussion about, okay, now it's like, to tell you the truth, it's almost like saying, all right, we hear you, but now it's about, let me hear about what about us, you know, kind of thing, to a point that for many black men, we go through that all the time. You know, everybody say, oh, we got your back, we got your everything, but what about the girl that did this or something like that, to a point where your feelings and how you go as mentally as a black man, you go to a point where you're like, okay, I mean, somebody heard, but they really, it's like, yeah, you're doing great, but let me go on to the next one. You know, let me go back to what we usually talk about and everything else, to a point like, I just try to sometimes make sure that people understand that that's what we go through. We say that, yeah, we just had a whole hour talking and everything else, and then we talk about going back to, you know, how you gonna help the woman get everything else, which is understandable, but I just want to let people understand that that's just sometimes what I know as I go through, to like, you know, I'm over here too, you know. I mean, yeah, I don't want to sound bad about it, you know. I get to a point where I understand that how you come across and how you sound and everything else, sometimes it's going to be, no matter what you're saying, it's almost to a point of how you come across it. But I do want to make sure I come across to let somebody know that this is the time, that this is what I see is that sometimes we forget that we hear about men's mental health, we concerned about it, but when it really came down to it, a lot of people, it's like, we hear that we got to lose weight, but we always go back. We go to a class here and there, but we go back home and revert back to what we've been eating and what we've been doing and everything else like that. That's the thing that I'm trying to, I guess, just mention and try to make sure that people understand. Don't just go to church on Sunday.
So I'm gonna let you, ask your question. So the other part, because y'all know I told y'all, this is the one. So I've talked to people who have been married for a while. And the male in the relationship, I think they were married 10 years. And the male in the relationship had just found his mental, basically. He just said, hey, I'm important also. I'm gonna go take care of myself. I'm gonna see a therapist. And she was like, no, I don't wanna hear this. And that went on for about 6 months and then they're divorced.
Wow.
So when I say recondition, I'm just challenging the ladies for 5 minutes when they come through the door. 5 minutes. How was your day? 5 minutes. That's it. Just 5. She had a question.
So, my question is like, what does like active listening as like a female to like a male like look like for you guys? Cause like, I know like even just when you're listening to someone,
Right.
you can tell when someone's like checked out, like their body language can indicate like they're not listening to you. So like, what does active listening from a male perspective look like? So that we're like, you can tell that we're fully engaged and you guys are listening.
I guess it's more about, to me, it's the action that comes after. You know what I'm saying? The listening is, like you say, we all listen or pretend or, you know, try to, and then, like I say, sometimes it's not even us, you know, sometimes it's just, okay, we hear it, we got it, you know. Most of us think we listened, think we heard it. It ain't, it's like, as a guy, it's just, I guess that's the answer. If we can understand, but that's, you know, that's asking what's the meaning of life, you know. I think in a way of how can a man tell if a woman is really listening, and how can she reciprocate that back? If we had that answer, I think in a nutshell we wouldn't be probably here, because if I could tell you, yo baby, if you just, when I get home, just make sure that you got the fried salmon just on the left side, and then when I never know when I might go through that day, you know, you don't know how that is, and then if it ain't, sometimes even if they hear you, it's almost like they're not listening. But I guess that's the fight of it. I guess it might be. I guess I might not know if somebody else got the answer. I might.
I would,
Go ahead.
yeah, I was.
It's on you though.
Okay.
That's all. It's feedback, positive feedback.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I like that as well. Yeah, I would say active listening from a man, and if I'm looking at the person across from me, her being quiet, not saying anything. I think that that instantly put men in a space of, and unnaturally, like, or consciously, like, we understand that the person across from us is actually listening. You know, there's nothing that's said. You know, so it's almost like the man come home and he's like, oh, did you forget to go by the grocery store to pick something up? And then the man be like, oh yeah, I forgot. And instead of saying anything, you know, like, you might not say it, or you can say something like, oh, okay, that's fine. But it's the listening and the peace component of it, you know? And so that puts us in a realm of, and also the body language, But that puts us in the realm of, okay, she's listening. Like some men, maybe not all, but they can just feed off of that. Because if it's always pushback, because you can say something, and then there's something always coming back, and then you're like, all right. Then you say something again, and it keep coming back, and you say something, then it's like, I'd rather just not, a male would not speak then. Now we go into a realm of like, I'd rather just get, I really go into my own realm of peace at that time. And so active listening for some males, even with the work I do is, it's just like the word, active listening. Being there, but actively listening, not saying anything. And so that's where a man can instantly identify, okay, this is a place of peace, this is a place of someone listening to me. And also, I know you said, Mr. Law, of course, actions are come after that. So you don't have to speak for actions. You can just do them as well.
You had a question? Actually, can I ask the panel? I'm being heard out the panel. So I guess my question would be to you all, what does vulnerability look like for you all?
I want to go first.
I'll go first. That's vulnerability. I would say saying something from what you think is from your heart, and just putting it out there, because I think that's what vulnerability looks like to me, is vocalizing something, putting it out there, putting it at that, I don't like the dark, putting myself vulnerable to know that, okay, now somebody, he don't like the dark, or something like that, to a point where it's I think for me, verbalizing my feelings to somebody usually shows, or will, that's what what's called vulnerability looks like to me.
Ms. Malik?
I thought he was thinking about
I thought you were just gonna go by. Well, for me, vulnerability. Real vulnerability is when you strip naked. It's like being in the middle of the highway with no clothes on during the traffic jam. Don't nobody miss you. All your scars are showing. All your inhibitions, all your tears, all your bruises, everything is showing. And you're not ashamed of it. Somebody told me a long time ago, and I didn't understand it at the time when they told me you are sick as your secrets. And I picked it up, I've heard it more times over the years, but that vulnerability, you don't have no secrets. You know what I mean? And that's why you can't be vulnerable with too many people, because now your secrets are out. But that vulnerability, it makes you a stronger person. And then you also realize that you're not the only person that's been there. You know what I mean? Just because this person wears a nice face and nice clothes, they've been there just as bad as you. Well, they went through the same things. And so it's not nothing new, but sometimes, like everybody else, we want to see who's gonna show first. You show me a piece of you, I'll show you a piece of me. When I first met my wife, we talked on the phone. I was in New York, she was down here. The first time I talked to her on the phone, I told her I'd like to write. And I wrote a book. She said she likes to write too. That was vulnerability. I told her we're gonna get married. I told her I'm married. The first time I talked to her, she told me I was crazy, but that was cool. But we married now, though. So I may be crazy, but I didn't lie.
Not a lie.
So, and it was based on that vulnerability. That vulnerability and having something, like, she didn't know that was like especially at that time, that was the strongest part of me.
Mm.
my writing. So if you can link up with that, you can't be that bad. You know what I mean? And then we tried something that I never did before too. We told each other our secrets. We told our secrets first. And my logic was, if you can deal with my secrets, and I know I got some. If you can deal with my secrets, everything else is gravy. So if we can deal with each other's secrets, where we've been, what we did, and you know, and we don't need detail, but you know, we can deal with that. Then we can only go up. You know what I mean? So and again, we married now, right? And it's the best relationship by far that I've ever had in my life, except with God.
Right. You said you started off at the beginning and you told everything. Wow. That's bad.
I'm too old to be like hiding
I
stuff.
see. Learn from you.
I'm good.
That's fine. You keep going.
I'll be quick. The question was what born and raised looks like really quick. First thing, firstly, first time I see my dad cry was when his mom passed. In my whole life, that's the first time I seen a man be vulnerable, you know. After that, I went through something in my life where I thought about to lose everything. And every day, for about a year or 2 years, my children, for the first time, seen me cry almost every day because I was in fear that I would lose everything for them. But I accepted the vulnerability of it. You know, it was people who were saying, man, get up, stop crying. And I did not accept what they told me. Like, what? I'm human just like you, I can't cry. You know? But the biggest thing was my children, both of my kids, they was always there for me. They didn't know what was going on. Of course, they was young, but they always was there for me. But I was able to show them, even I was not a boy and a girl, but he was able to see, hey, dad is able to be vulnerable, you know, and still make sure everything is going right. And within my vulnerability, I didn't lose nothing. I was just in fear of losing something. And when I brought up earlier, what I said about it, can be a component as a man where within our masculine frame, it can get so bad that we can, destruction can happen. So if I wasn't vulnerable, then destruction would have happened. That can be anything. That can be driving while drunk. That can be some type of getting an assault, a fight. That can be a homicide. It can be a suicide. You know what I'm saying? And so I was able to accept that I have to be vulnerable, even at the bottom that I'm at. Because if I'm not as a man, I can move into a state of destruction.
I'm gonna stay right there with you. So, this can go on for 3 hours. You guys might get tired of sitting there, but this can go on for 3 hours. So,
They want to talk, let me talk.
so the last question I have, and then we'll check with the audience. If you were to go back and talk to your younger self about mental health, what would you tell yourself? The younger you.
Ooh, boy.
All right, I started off again. Hate to say it, because I'm fearful of. I would just tell him keep doing what he's doing, because I think if I didn't have any of those processes and those kind of things on the real, I wouldn't be out of. It's like you can't be a phoenix if you ain't been burnt. You know what I'm saying? You can't come out of something. It been something else I had to either come out or something like that. So I would tell myself, you know, of course you'll tell yourself, do better, eat better, feel better, do your girl better. And you would tell it, but I'm a one believer that from here on out, I'd rather talk to future law than past law.
So what would you tell future law?
Oh man, I hope we make it. Hope we get there. hope we do what we're supposed to be doing. I'm trying my best here to try to make sure I can get you there. That's what I think. That's my whole thing. Instead of doing it backwards, I do it forward. I talk to my future one, say I'm gonna try my best. I know the bad guy didn't do what he was supposed to do. Not to say he did wrong because he got us here. So I guess that's just my way of thinking. I try to, and I think because of of talking, I always try to look at the best part of it, the positive of it, because it doesn't matter. You know, people always think that, you know, talking positive about it, you're going to do one or the other. Why not do the positive part? Why not do the fun part? Why not do the best part? Why not? People always. This will be my last thing. It's somebody always told me, a guy told me, there's 3 paths. There's 3 paths in the world. You can either go the hard path, the middle path, or the easy path. What most people would say. You know, they want to be, most men be like, I want to do the hard path. I want to go down and show when I get to the end. But it's like, why not just pick the easy path? Why we as humans always want to show and prove something to somebody? And why don't we can just go ahead and do what if we take the easy path, you do it the right way, you and your family will do everything else. But I would say as men, that's another thing. We always want to be the tough one. We want to be the big guy. We want to show our family, and to a point that I'm getting sad, to a point I'm seeing we lose good men for that way of feeling. Because the next guy, you know, he might want to knuckle up, but then you know how it is. I think I'm tired of losing people because of mental health. Not the way y'all might think I'm saying, because if they do something, it's just how people do something to them, you know, and everything else like that, you know what I'm saying?
And I'm gonna say one, because I know. Really, I think I would just say, just when you have a good heart, I feel like every man up here has really, really good hearts. I would say, just be careful, because some people will befriend you just because of your heart.
Yes.
And they will sit around you, and they will try to they will learn from you and take everything from you, and then they will do something that, I don't know what's the word called, backstabbing, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, backdoor you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing I can say as what I would think differently, because I always lived a life where I move, you know, people know people aura and when they're good people. So I always lived a life like that, even at a young age. I was learning early how to move in this life. But, you know, even with a good heart, you know, you can get food as well. You know, and people will sit around you. So I think my thing would be just do your checks and balances with individuals in life as men.
Gotcha.
What was the question again?
What would you, well, that law has set a precedent. What would you tell your future self or your younger self?
Well, my future self, or my younger self. That's okay. My younger self, I would say, hold on, it's gonna be a bumpy ride, but it's gonna be worth it in the end.
Yes.
Because you'll reach, or you'll head towards the direction you're supposed to be, and that's the direction that's meant for you before God, and that's what counts most. I remember at one point I couldn't, if I was to die that day, I couldn't say my highs or my lows, or what I wanted. And then I got to the point where I realized if I was to live whatever amount of years I live, and if I haven't touched somebody's life in a positive way, then I just wasted time. And that didn't mean, and that's just saying that God made a mistake, and I don't know him to make mistakes. So the fact that I had to go through whatever I went through and come out on the other side, and I'm not too bad a person, and I know I got a good heart. Even though I don't let a lot of people in it, you know, I know that. You know, if you see me in the street, I'm either with my wife or I'm by myself. That's what I do. You know, I'm far from, I don't have a problem with being alone, and I stand that way, you know, and I don't do no running because I can't, you know, I can't see, so I don't do no running. But it was a process getting there. It was a process getting there. So that's what I would say. Just hold on, and weather the storm. It'll be all right.
That's all right. I'll tell myself attack your flaws head on. Don't spread your soul so thin and it's hard to be selfish. Think about yourself. It's all right. So I think that's the biggest things that I would tell myself.
I want to say thank you. If you guys have more questions, you guys can answer. We gotta get our group photo before he leaves, and he's got our photo.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys can come over. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Their pictures, I'm gonna give out, raffle tickets for those here, if it's coming to the women, if you have a bill in your circle that you think needs some therapy, please give it to them. We're raffling off 2 sessions, so I'll give these out and we'll, pull the 2 winners.
You know, 2 on each side.
You on each side?
That's you do. Is that? Okay. 1, 2. All right, you want me on this side?
There you go.
Okay, you want me to use it?
No, you know how to do it.
Okay, all right, you on that side. Oh, you didn't do it. When I forgot I was in short. You didn't do short. I gotta take my glasses. I'm not gonna bite
All right, let me get one. I say run the spot.
Okay, I was like, did you get one? Oh, you my photographer.
You know how I like that.
You take 200.
Thank y'all. They're confused. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, man, bro. Good to see you. We've been talking. All right, good to see you, man.
Right there, right there. Right there and all that. Good job out there. Thank you. Look forward to Let's go spit. Just need to spit?
Yeah, you see?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Okay, that'll work.
Yeah.
You better not go get no more cigarettes.
No, you're right. Don't let him go get no more cigarettes.
He said not go get no more cigarettes.
All right. And we thought that we couldn't get 30 minutes. I went and had more change. All right, thank y'all for being in there. I know some of y'all did some great thing. I hope y'all enjoy that. Y'all, if y'all don't see it on TikTok, you can go over there and see it on YouTube. You can make sure you keep on sharing and everything else. Make sure people understand that was a good little panel, doing a good little thing. Thank y'all for everything, and I'm out of here. Thank you for the love, the support, and everything else. That was a good thing to have. That's what we do. Go get one of the books. Y'all know I got like a couple of books out there, so make sure y'all go get some of the books. Get you some books in your life. Book it. Book it, people. All right, we out here. Love y'all. Peace.
Found yourself scrolling again?